Well, hello there, Radical Metal viewers. All 212 of you. And counting. Maybe more coming. Hopefully so. I just did a cigar video after months of not smoking any cigars. And I had such a great time. I went just back at it and I want to do another one. One, because I really want to shout out Burke Cigar. They don't pay me or anything. But I just want to shout them out because that's where I get all my cigars in Northern Virginia. And they, especially Rigo, my buddy Rigo, who knows so much about what he's talking about with cigars and always hooks me up with like the best cigars, and somehow just based off limited information that I'm able to tell him, picks always some winners. He's the one who picked the one I did last week, the Peg de Taro from Foundation Cigars, Charter Oaks. So I want to shout out to them, and we'll talk a little bit more about them in a second. But also, today, because this is Radical Metal, I wanted to do another cigar video so fast because this just came out. This is it's from the Blackened, it's from Drew Estate. It's another James Hetfield from Metallica cigar. So I'm going to talk about that. I did a review of the Blackened one, which was amazing. It was great way back when. And now this one's out called Shade to Black. Clearly a play off of Fade to Black, one of their most or more famous songs and great song. So I'll talk about that. So Shade to Black. So we'll open that up in a second. But first, this is how cool Burke Cigar is. They know I'm into metal, and that these cigars maybe have more significance to me just because of who's producing them. Mr. James Hetfield, Papa Het. My doppelganger, as some might say. But they gave me this ashtray. So we're going to unbox this. This is from the Drew Estate Blackened collection, part of their swag from the launch of this cigar. And so, here we go. Let's unbox this ashtray and check it out. Some plastic. Pretty cool. And voila, look at that. More cigar holder space than I need, but in the shape of a James Hetfield Explorer. Life it sees will fade away. Okay, we'll cut most of that out. Maybe we'll put the song in. But pretty cool. Pretty cool ashtray. I wanted a different one. I don't like the one I had. And this is in the shape of an Explorer guitar, one of my favorite types of guitars, even though I don't own one yet. So we'll use that to ash our new Shade to Black. Shout out to Rigo. He gave this to me. He's just the nicest guy. I think we got a good medium burn there. Well, let's start talking about this guy. It's pretty nice right off the bat. I don't have very high expectations. It's a mid-range, at least price-wise, cigar. An $8 Robusto, which is this size, which if you watched my video last time, that was a Robusto, but that was $13. Of course, the gauge on that was, I think, a little thinner. But hey, this is James Hetfield, so that's why we do this. But let's talk about it. I'm going to read some stuff to give you a little bit of the background, then I'll talk about how I think it tastes. I'm going to give it a moment to kind of get truly lit, and then I'll get into that. But remember, as Chef Troy RD says, it's okay to make mistakes. So, following the resounding success of Drew Estate's partnership with Blackened Whiskey on Blackened Cigars, M81 Maduro to the core, in 2022, which if you look back in my video history, I talk about that one. I really love that. Of course, now I'm more into the lighter wrappers, but back then I was really digging the cigar. But Drew Estate announces the new Connecticut shade wrap brand release and shipping of Blackened S84 Shade to Black. The cigars are a passion project between Rob Diedrich and master distiller and blender of Blackened whiskey, James Hetfield, Metallica co-founder, singer, and guitarist, and Jonathan Drew, founder and president of Drew Estate. It's a collaboration between, Metallica has a whiskey out, so whoever does that, and then James Hetfield, who is a cigar smoker, probably the coolest looking cigar smoker I've ever seen, and Drew Estate, which makes cigars. And I am liking this. It's a little more peppery than I like, but I like it because I think I like most Connecticut cigars. There's maybe not one I don't like, or I would have too much trouble with, I suspect. So let's talk more about it. Hetfield and Dietrich worked closely with Drew, a friend of Dietrich's, for over a decade to create the perfect blend for the cigar. The Blackened S84 Shade to Black takes aficionados on a nuanced journey with its deliciously smooth and inviting blend. Wrapped in a luxurious Connecticut Ecuador cover leaf. Connecticut's those lighter cover leaves. And that's where most of the flavor, supposedly, comes from, the wrapper. The consumer experience of this expression is distinctly different from the original. Well, it's different because it's lighter. The original is a little more, it's darker. And typically, it's not always the case, but typically comes with a more stronger flavor, powerful flavor. While these will be a little more lighter. While still retaining the foundational qualities due to the Connecticut River Valley broadleaf Maduro binder and Nicaraguan Maduro and Pennsylvania broadleaf Maduro filler leaves. So again, it's cool. Like cigars, I say it all the time, they're so cool because they're handmade, for one, all of them. And that's amazing to me. Look, you got leaves from Pennsylvania, you got leaves from Ecuador, and all these different places. Nicaragua, and they all come together as a master blender type person. Just figured, hey, I think I found it. Okay, now we're gonna take this blend of tobacco leaf, and this is what we're gonna do with it because I found a right match. And here you have this, and then they mass produce that. And by mass produce, I mean hand roll a bunch of them and sell them in boxes. James Hetfield of Metallica shares his excitement, stating, "Shade to Black is more than just a cigar for us. It's a celebration of passion and a tribute to the craftsman who strives for excellence in their lives." Well, there you go. From Papa Head himself. It's a celebration. It's a celebration of passion. Well, I don't know if there's anybody more passionate than James Hetfield. And this is a very enjoyable cigar. it's doing everything I want a cigar to do. The M81 Maduro, it was a darker wrapper on the outside, so giving it that stronger taste. Again, a lot of the flavor, or most of the flavor, comes from the wrapper, but it also had Maduro filler inside. So this has the lighter wrapper on the outside and the Maduro filler on the inside. So it's a pretty cool blend of light and dark, and maybe that's why they called it shade to black. But I do think it does kind of balance a smooth and a dark. I think that's true. That's what I'm kind of tasting here. Blackened's master distiller has been one of my best friends for almost 15 years. He brought Hetfield into the mix, and I brought Willie and the Drew Estate brand team. This project is dope. We're having fun with it. These guys talk like me. And Simon, my editor, is gonna kill me, but I'm gonna move this a little bit so I can get more in the shade. There we go. You can see my cold plunge in the background. Yes, I did do a cold plunge today, as I do once a day, every day, and sometimes twice a day. It was amazing. So, let's finish this up, shall we? So this is a $10, there's a sale. It was, I think, $8.95 when I bought this yesterday. But typically it's a $10 cigar, or a $200 box, so 20 cigars. Which I would say is maybe higher on the mid-range side, but definitely not high range. You can spend a lot more money on cigars, that's for sure. $200 a box, that's not bad, and it's a great. So far, so good. It's a great cigar. And it's bringing me all that stuff I love about cigars. A little bit of a buzz, a little bit of meditation, and a nice, pretty even burn. Well, almost even. Pretty close. Good enough. Probably uneven because I lit it improperly, which is also gratifying or satisfying to see. And yeah, just delightful. But I don't think it would qualify as a top 10 for me. Maybe it's too early to say, but as I'm approaching the second, third here, it's because of the pepper. I think I don't like peppery. I think a lot of people do, but I'm not. I think I want smooth. That's what I'm always looking for: smooth and silky, creamy, and a little sweet. This is not sweet at all. I would say it's got some smoothness, but the peppery is enough to not make it a top 10 for me. Though still enjoyable. So I'll pause there and come back and see you when I'm in the throes of the middle third. All right, welcome back. As you can see, I am in the second third of my Robusto. It's a little fuller than the first third, as I think most cigars tend to be, at least for me. Which is, more of the good stuff, but then again, more of the bad stuff, the pepper stuff I don't like, for me. But I'm still enjoying it, still loving it, still totally appreciate it, and it will be a cigar I smoke in the future for sure. Well, what else is going on? I've been thinking about this channel, and I know it's all over the place. You got cigars again, because I'm getting back into it with cigars. You got Bitcoin, you got politics, and then you got now Radical Riffs, which is probably our most popular, or it's going to be our most popular type of show, where I play the riffs that changed my life with the guitar, and probably most of them epic riffs. If you're a guitar player or a heavy metal guy, that you'll recognize, and some you might not recognize, that I just think are amazing from bands that maybe are a little more obscure. So maybe introduce you to a few more bands. The first one we did was Opeth, Goes to Perdition, probably by far their most famous song. Then we did The Last Baron, that was just released a couple days ago. Best riff of all time. Probably should have been the first one we did. Those are really fun, and they're short. And you know, the attention span of the public these days is not very much, so I think those work really well. But I have to say, you know, I get the stats every month of this channel, and I'm pretty blown away by them. There's thousands of minutes each month viewed, which tells me that there's people watching the longer type of content. This is kind of a medium content. Keep the cigar videos to maybe 15 minutes or so if we can help it. But people are watching the interviews too, that I try to keep to an hour. Sometimes it goes over that. Sometimes maybe a little less than that. And I'm just kind of going as I go. If I don't have an interview lined up, give you some inside baseball here, then I will do something on my own, whether it's cigars, maybe a rant, political rant, which, sorry, it's my right. And I have opinions to share, testimony, bringing my testimony to the table around politics. Or it's new stuff we're trying. You know, I am, despite the cigar, it might seem contradictory, but I am into health. After my cold plunge today, I went to the gym, and now I'm having a cigar. But I don't see myself as contradictory. I guess I see that as authentic, or at least my authentic self. So I kind of just want to keep this channel to what it is I want to do, and then the people either come or they don't come. I think the general rule of thumb that I hear, if you want to grow your channel, is to get focused and focus on one niche. That may happen, and maybe I start new channels for those different categories I just mentioned, should that come. But right now I'm just putting everything here, because I do, this sounds maybe a little pompous or something, but I do consider radical metal a philosophy and a way of life. Again, we need radical voices in the middle. We need radical attention, not lukewarmness. Radical vigilance to be the voice of reason in a polarized world. We need to get radical about it. I think the tendency for people like me that are in the middle, we want everybody to get along, sure, but we're maybe timid, because that's kind of the nature of the middle. You're a little timid, and you don't maybe want to ruffle any feathers. But I want to get radical about dignity in the discourse. I want to get radical about our philosophy of clarity comes through engagement. I want to get radical about bringing your testimony to the table. I think I mean it too. Like the one example I give is, you know, I have this vision of two opposing sides coming in to have a debate or a discourse, and that you defend that venue where the discourse is taking place with guns. You know, that you need to be radical about the defense of discourse, because it's so important. You need to be serious. And sometimes voices get protested and then have to get canceled. And we don't believe in that, even if they're unbecoming. We want to hear it all and let it debate and let the people decide whether or not they were swayed one way or another. We're radical about an open mind. We're radical about allowing our minds to change. My minds change all the time, and it's invigorating. The radical middle, which is what radical metal is a play off of, the radical middle mindset is invigorated when their mind is changed, because it's exciting. It's like, you thought, oh, I thought this way this whole time, and now I'm changing my mind. That is invigorating. It's interesting. Keeps life interesting. So the whole point, a big through point of this channel, is to encourage that. Don't get stuck in your ways. Challenge yourself. Listen to other people. Now, through that, you might get angry, you might get mad, you might further confirm your viewpoints. That's fine too. But be open to it. Or at the very least, kind of understand, maybe try to understand why people think differently than you. That's been kind of my goal too. I struggle with it, but I'm trying to understand the followership of Trump. It's hard for me to understand, but I'm trying to understand it. I'm not trying to get into a political rant right now, but I've come closer to understanding it. I see there's a lot of things to be disgusted by on the left, and what are your options after that? If you can't stomach what's on the left, and I can't stomach a lot of it, where do you go to? Maybe you go to Trump. For me, I don't go to Trump. I think he's the by a hair maybe, but the greater evil than the stuff that disgusts me about the left. This is nice. I'm almost approaching the final third here. This is lubricating my mind to kind of think through some things. But yeah, I still think Trump is the greater evil, but I do understand more why people follow him. I do think there's folks where there's common ground. What's frustrating is those that disregard everything on the left because they're on the right, and those that disregard everything on the right because they're on the left. That is the antithesis of what radical middle is all about. But if we're not radical about the middle, then I think the middle is going to get trampled. I think in the middle is where the common sense is. The middle knows how to compromise. The middle is the democracy that we've somehow managed to keep alive for 200 years plus, and despite the inevitable corruption and all the kind of fun stuff that comes with it. But where do you go without compromise? You go to conflict. And do we want that? Some conflict produces opportunity. It's kind of like clarity comes through engagement. But if the conflict leads to civil war, do we want that? I don't think so. That'd be scary. But I think that's an interesting point. If we don't get radical about the middle, if we don't get radical about democracy, if we don't get radical about compromise, about meeting of the minds, about agreeable disagreements, or being agreeable despite our disagreements, that type of stuff, what's left for us? We're going to get trampled. If our timidity is keeping us from promoting the middle, it's going to go. It's going to get lost. The middle, a place where you can be critical of both sides and also see the value that each side might be delivering. A middle where, hopefully, the strength in numbers, and that's why we're so polarized. And in order to get things done, sometimes you got to join a team, unfortunately. But what about the radical middle team? Why can't we have a radical middle team? I think, isn't most of the folks in America independents now? I would think so. I'm an independent. I voted Republican and I voted Democrat. Why is the third party so weak? Even though most of us agree with them. What is that? How do we crack that code? I think that's what this kind of stands for. The other thing too I've been thinking about, we're human. And so the things we hate about each other, I would argue, can come back to, we're a fallen species. So there's some things it's like, hey, don't get discouraged because we're still unable to be perfect. That's encouraging to me. When I'm tempted to hate someone or something, I remind myself of that, or at least try to. They're just doing the best they can, the best they know how. And while sometimes that might be egregious and need to be stopped, and maybe even need to be stopped with violence at times, it's still just people trying to do the best they can. And most of the time, I think, not really knowing any better. Well, if you know me, you know that I don't really like to go too deep into the final third. It's a little too crazy for me. I did notice a shift in the change, a shift in the flavor. Got some interesting birds around here. What is it? What is the change? Maybe it's just as simple as everything is just a little stronger. Remember the good and the bad, which is natural since there's less time between smoke and mouth. So maybe we'll leave it at that. I don't have all the answers, but I do like me a cigar. I do think there's value and there should be passion for the middle. I'm looking for like-minded people who share that same passion. Folks that can discern good and bad from all angles. And hopefully that are passionate about that. That's freedom. That's freedom. I mean, compared to being stuck in a party line, that's not freedom. And just because I want to smoke a little more, I'll talk a little more. But, you can't get anywhere without kissing the ring of Donald Trump and the Republican Party, right? That's just a fact. That's not freedom. But, I mean, isn't it sort of the same on the Democrat side? You have to be Team Biden. And a lot of folks have to kind of pretend that he's not losing his mind and he's not feeble. And that's not freedom either. So why can't we just speak our minds? Promote a third party. Is that where we're going? This radical middle stuff? Is it a third party? I think where it's tough is because there's freedom of thought and expression and ideas in the middle. It's hard to concentrate power. But maybe if you concentrate power around the freedom of ideas and expression and the diversity of ideas and expression, maybe that's how you consolidate it. Fight it out in the middle. Fight it out in the middle. Hey, let the best man, woman win, and then back them up. Back them up. You lost that round. No big deal. Keep voicing your opinion. Keep speaking out. Be your authentic self with your authentic ideas. And if you lose, be a good loser. And if you win, be a good leader. I think that's pretty poetic. Let's say it one more time. If you lose, be a good loser. If you win, be a good leader. Amen. All right, radical viewers, radical metal viewers. Come on, let's make it a movement, a radical movement. And with that, I bid you a good day. And I'll see you next time.